Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to DCS, and welcome to another DCS tutorial. Today we're going to be taking a look at the deployment in manual mode for the AGM-84 variant missiles, both the AGM-84E and the AGM-84H expanded response SLAM and SLAMmer air-to-ground missiles, in conjunction with the AT Fleer targeting pod on our left cheek station, of course done from the FA-18C Hornet module. So on the ground we can begin our setup of the slams. We'll go ahead and select air to ground mode, and we'll come over to our left DDI, and you can see we've got our two different weapon sets on our select. So we'll select the SLAM missile first, and we're going to go from pre-programmed to the TOO. The IFUs will go to instantaneous, and on our left-hand side, we'll set a flight profile of low. And we'll step over to the... Oh, that is my mistake. That's the left-hand side missile. We had the right-hand side before. IFU still instantaneous, flight profile of low. Then we'll step to the right side missile, and we'll make that a high flight profile. And we'll do the same for the slammer. Again, on the right-hand side, select TOO, IFUs to instantaneous, and flight to high. Step over to our left-hand side and set it exactly the same with a low flight profile. And that's effectively all of the setup that we're going to need to do for our ground setup. We'll have to get up in the air, let our INS in-flight align, and then we can start looking at some targets. Alright, we're going to get lined up here on runway 31 and do an unrestricted climb up to about 40,000 feet. Coming up here, I'm going to go ahead and bring up our targeting pod. And this is a good time for me to go over our controls. A few different controls we're going to be using today. First and foremost is going to be selecting our, in my case, right DDI. That's going to be my FLIR system. So that's going to be a sensor control right. Once we have our sensor control selected, we're going to be using our TDC switches, left, right, up, down, and depress. I actually have them set to a keybind on my HOTAS. It's an axis, a little thumb hat I can use. But those are the keybinds. There is a separate axis bind. And then depressing is going to select our target and send those GPS coordinates to the missile. Obviously, we're going to be using the weapon release button. Go figure, you need to release the weapon. And then in our targeting pod screen, and to undesignate as well as uncage the targeting pod from where it's currently stored, we're going to be double pressing the undesignate switch, which is the same as your nose wheel steering gain on the F-18. So those are our keybinds for today. So we'll go ahead and undesignate our targeting pod. We'll set right DDI and undesignate, and you can see we've got our T-pod out there now. We go ahead and turn up our HEMIX. Level out a little bit here. I've got a target in mind. It's going to be over by the Yas Morena circuit, just over there. So we'll crank out to the right just a bit. Come out of burner for this bit here. No need to burn up unnecessary fuel just yet. And then I'm going to double press undesignate again, and that'll give us our ability to slew our targeting pod. I'm going to recage actually because I'm not quite seeing it where I want. I'm going to line our pipper up. I lost our target. Off to the right. Yeah, it's off to the right. is yes. We're going to circuit.
Altitude.
Undesignate.
Altitude.
And we're going to aim for that pretty white building there. And then we're going to press our TDC to lock that target into position. And that is our aiming point for the slams now. Back into air-to-ground mode. I'm going to bring up our FLIR pod again. It's going to get masked in a second. And I'm going to continue out. So we're about 40 nautical miles away from the target. You can see on our HUD that TGT number that's increasing. And we're going to keep climbing to about 40,000 feet. Good amount of fuel to do it, so... Alright, so we're rounding out just shy of 50 nautical miles from our target. Just now cresting 39,000 feet. Go ahead and start our turn here. And something I've noticed in testing is if you leave the targeting pod masked for too long, you will lose that ranging. Let's come out of burner here. We'll come down to 35,000. So what we'll do is we'll wait for the mask for DCS to disappear on the targeting pod down there, and we'll redesignate. There we go. So you can see right now we are in range. I want to make sure that that spot we have marked is still our current target. I haven't moved it or slewed it around at all. But just with the INS tracking, you want to make sure. So we're moving the mask now. You can see we moved just a little bit. So there we go. We'll redesignate. And we will release our high altitude munitions first. So there's the high altitude slammer off the rails. Come over and redesignate just a little bit to the right. And we will release our low altitude slammer. We'll retract our tail hook. Next up are the normal slams. Those should be close to in range. We're actually going to do a different target for those guys. We're going to come over to the... whatever that is. The, I almost called it Petronas Towers. It's not that. And same sequence as before. My gear just dropped. Why did my gear just drop? Getting phantom inputs from my HOTAS. That's cool. Don't buy Logitech. Anyway, fire 1, high altitude. Thanks, Logitech. My slam's not releasing now. Says I'm in range. I'm guessing it has to do with the fact that there's probably gaping holes in the underside of my aircraft now. Awesome. Well, we'll follow in those two larger slams in the meantime. And the autopilot's broken too. Alright, well... see, of our AGMs in flight there, with our jet up above. This is an air-breathing missile. You can see the scoop for the air inlet down below. So this is going to be our high-altitude missile, I'm guessing, at 14,000 feet, as compared to our lower-altitude missile. This one's going to terminal. Actually see the first one. See its smoke trail just down there. It impacts. Impact from number 2. So yeah, unfortunately my other 2 slams are not gonna deploy due to the mechanical issue we've got going on. Cannon still works. Can I fire my sidewinders? Negative, so I'm having a fire control systems issue, which is fine. But nonetheless, assuming your HOTAS doesn't send phantom signals to drop the gear and the hook for whatever reason, that's how you deploy them. The normal slam, it's the same procedure. They just have a lower deployment range. But nonetheless, that's how you deploy your standoff land attack missiles in DCS, the AGM-84. So thank you guys very much for watching.
Altitude.
I'm going to start saving up for Thrustmaster products, because Logitech has just not made the cut in any of their products over the last few years, but that's neither here nor there. Thank you guys very much for watching this video. I hope you got something out of it. We'll catch you in the next one, and as always, take it easy.